As I told you, with Drupa around the corner, we want to know what's going to happen in Düsseldorf. It's such a big show. We want to know what are the technologies to look out for, what are the disruptions which are going to happen. So this guy who's going to come up on stage now is a great friend of mine. He has 29 years of diverse global technology industry experience. During his vast career, he has held various senior management positions at world-renowned companies such as AT&T, Netscape, and Spice Telecom. He's currently the managing director of EFI in India, where he's focused on driving engineering and innovation besides commercial responsibilities for the region. He has won several industry recognitions and a few years ago was chosen as one of the most influential technology leaders in India by a large peer group of Asian technology leaders. He's passionate about mentoring young leaders and is currently championing big data and machine learning technology for the printing and packaging market. Please put your hands together for Sam Gulve, Managing Director of EFI India. Sam Gulve.
Can everybody hear me back there? Over there? Good? All right. What a wonderful crowd. I mean, a lot of energy in the morning. Thank you for giving me the early slot. Initially, I was a little in two minds to open the innings. Is always hard with the fast balls and the bouncers coming and so on and so forth. But on the other hand, that's when everybody is at their highest energy. So at least I'm not trying to get people started in the day. It's a huge honor. Thank you for him. Thank you, BMPA, for this opportunity and the privilege. You know, when Fahim approached me some time back and he said, you know, Sam, I want you to speak to the BMPA audience, I was like, Fahim, you know, I'm a relative novice in the printing and packaging industry. So मैं ये पंडित लोगों के सामने गीता क्या पढ़ूं? You know, so it's so he said, no, you know, there's a lot that you can talk about. And so the way I looked at it was, see, I'm a technologist and I've been in technology industry almost 30 years. And over the years, I've seen technology disrupt and create create opportunities in pretty much every industry out there. And printing and packaging would be no exception. So the way I decided to look at it was, how can I look at what technology is doing in some of the industries and then translate that into a high probability hypothesis of what's going to happen in the printing and packaging industry with those technologies. Now, some of it you will already start seeing in this Drupa, but some of it might come later because it's extremely hard to time the market. You know, it takes a lot more than just technology being ready for something to start showing up in the market. There also has to be the right timing for things. And so, you know, I'm not a crystal ball gazer. If I was, you know, I would have sold a lot of my stock 3-4 weeks ago and would be sitting on cash right now. So, you know, I'm not going to pretend to be one. But clearly, there are very high probability trends, and that's what I'm going to talk about. You know, if you look at technologies and consumer behavior, disrupt a lot of industries. Technologies provide you opportunities. Consumer behavior demands that you do things differently. So we'll look at what are some of the technologies and consumer behavior that is likely to impact our industry. We also look at, so what? How will it manifest? What is in it for you? You know, great, the technology is going to be there and it's going to do certain things, but what's in it for me? And what early indicators are you likely to see at Drupa? So that, in a nutshell, is my presentation. So what are these drivers? On the consumer behavior, if you start looking, you know, you'll see that everything is becoming more and more personalized. I mean, people do not, the current generation, the current consumers, the current customers do not want what everybody else has. They want to be unique. They want to stand out. They want to have something completely personal. Tomorrow's house, you know, when you go to a builder, today he gives you choices. Here are 5 tile patterns, you know, pick one when you are going and booking a flat or whatever. Or here are certain choices with respect to counter finishes and things of that nature. You know, tomorrow, essentially, the number of choices would be very, very large and pretty much customized. You can decide what you want, and that is accelerating. It's in every industry. Even it's happening to corporates. Even corporates do not want, they want to have a unique identity, unique brand. And so a lot of the things that they're looking for, it's constant innovation, requiring constant innovation. So obviously decorative industries, you're going to start seeing a lot of different and new things driven by that, and business models, et cetera, evolving. But I'm going to focus on technology. By the way, if I'm going too fast, just raise your hands, but I'm very conscious, given that Fred warned me that Fahim is a time master, and I better not get into, get us behind further. There's also rapidly changing taste of consumers. The fashion industry, for example, when you look at Zara, the department store Zara, they used to have one fashion cycle annually. Then they started having two, now there are four, one per season, and it's going lower and lower. What does that mean? That means you can no longer produce for the whole year and then manage that out of your warehouse and stocks, et cetera, stocking, et cetera. You have to do rapid innovation, and you have to do rapid fulfillment. You have to literally have very fast turnaround based on how the stores are performing. And that is impacting textile industries significantly. And you will see that pattern play out in many other industries, requiring faster turnaround. And you can't do faster turnaround using traditional, conventional methods and the number of touch points. Today's customers and consumers are extremely concerned. They're concerned about the environment. They're concerned about security and privacy. They are concerned about, whether a company is ethical or not. Justice Dharmadhikari is going to be talking about some other topic. And they are highly connected, which means the bad word spreads much faster than the good word. And so, you cannot sort of play defense on it. You got to, actually wield these technologies positively. Okay. So what are these disruptive technologies? I'll quickly mention that, and then I'll actually focus more on the applications of these technologies into our industry. So there are continuous advances in hardware and electronics, and we'll talk about what does that mean specifically. There are open and, move towards open and interconnected systems as opposed to individual solutions in individual parts of the process. Internet of Things, we heard a lot of buzz about it. What does it mean, and does it really, is it only for the Googles of the world and the internet type companies, or does it something that's going to matter to me in my industry? Big data and machine learning. Everybody talks about big data. What does that mean? Is it just another hype? Cloud and mobility, and similarly nanotechnology and material sciences. So what do I foresee? So if I look at these technologies and the consumer behavior, and I look at how they have started manifesting in terms of, disrupting other industries, I can start seeing some pattern there, and I can start guessing what's going to happen in the printing and packaging industry. So, and the impact I'm going to focus on is mostly on the equipment. See, as you know, my company produces a lot of wide format, various kinds of industrial inkjets. And so I'm going to come from that perspective and also talk about software, because you started seeing that essentially they say it like the software is eating the world. What it really means is every business eventually is becoming a software business. Car industry used to be more of a mechanical and automotive industry, automobile engineering type of business. Today it's software business. So if you look at Tesla, for example, the amount of software that is in there in that car is mind-boggling. And that is really the differentiation. The hardware tends to slowly commoditize, and anybody can sort of match each other's hardware capabilities. It's the software that starts providing the differentiation. So what is this Moore's law in digital printing? So I'm pretty sure some of you are familiar with Moore's law in computing. A decade ago, a couple of decades ago, when PCs were new and the microprocessors were new, literally every 18 months or 2 years, they were doubling in their capability and their speed and so on and so forth. It's kind of the same thing happening to inkjets. The capability of the inkjet, the speed, the quality, the accuracy, etc., is rapidly increasing. So if you're looking at, what is happening here, there is, by the way, parallel processing also. Since inkjet need to be fed copious amount of data, RIP data, especially if you have variable printing, you need to have processors that's going to continue to feed very high throughput data to it so that the overall throughput remains high for the thing. And so parallel processing is playing a part. For example, we do something called a hyper RIP, which is essentially multiple processors breaking the overall RIP into pieces and then working parallelly to stitch the whole picture, and they do it extremely fast, mind-blowing speeds. So print heads are starting to produce 6 picoliters and lower. So we are headed towards, HD is behind us. We are headed even higher and higher, and some of the applications, especially textiles, etc., these kind of capabilities really matter. Higher color gamut, more vibrant, more wider color gamut. And this is all happening while the overall cost per unit continues to come down. And now, the switchover point where analog is predominantly more effective versus digital, that is constantly sliding down. And in the meantime, you'll start seeing, a lot of interest in the hybrid lines. And in fact, there are quite a few manufacturers who are promising hybrid equipment that takes advantage of both the technologies in a single equipment. So you'll start seeing some interesting combinations coming out in the near future. This all is leading to a very high, very fast conversion from analog to digital. And part of the reason is, there's a lot of advances that are happening in ink chemistry, nanotechnology. You're starting to get inks that can give you better coverage at a lower cost. And you're starting to see inks that would adhere to many more types of material and will create various innovative opportunities. So for example, in the recent event in Las Vegas, every year EFI has this event in Las Vegas, a customer event where more than 1,000 customers show up, and it's called Connect. And this time they sort of announced, we announced a site called Internet of Imaging of Things. And what really it is there is a lot of innovation going on from people like you who are figuring out newer and newer things, newer and newer visual things to do on innovative substrates using innovative inks and material to apply to that. And it's a very rapidly evolving industry. Obviously, thinner and stronger substrates are also creating more opportunities in terms of what are different applications that are coming out. And this, so there are two types of things. One that are visually oriented, which are imaging of things. It's printing on all kinds of material for the visual part. And second is functional applications. Unfortunately, this is not moving as fast, but I foresee that it will start moving faster in the future. This is where you put conductive ink on paper or other substrates to create cheap throwaway circuits, or this is where you actually start printing solar cells and glass panels that go up in office buildings to reduce overall power requirement and thus driving much greener sort of future for all of us. Software coming of age, I mentioned that software eating the world in every industry. So it is extremely hard in this world where the preferences are going down and you're starting to shrink the run lengths. In fact, there are some of you I know are even doing a factory of one. What that means is one book factory or one t-shirt factory. That means orders come pretty much over a digital storefront kind of mechanisms, and they are automated, get made up, and the designs are crowdsourced or custom, and so it's like a run length of one. How would you make profit in run length of one if you go conventional methods? You can't. There are too many touch points. There are too much manual intervention. There is high degree of error probabilities and problems with accuracy and things of that nature. So it's really evolving to the point where one can say almost, it's tending towards touchless printing or a high degree of automation, Uh, Also, smarter software, you'll start seeing software, traditionally what has been the problem? A lot of people want to use MIS, but they always complain that, oh, the persons on the shop floor, they are not educated, they don't understand, they can't really use your software, it's too complicated, it's too, cumbersome to use. But slowly, the software is evolving to the point where the user, it sort of starts using smart. By the way, there's a revolution coming, smart software revolution, and it's going to take over all kinds of software opportunities and start making more and more intelligent choices. Traditionally, software did automation. It took manual work and automated, but slowly, software is also starting to automate decision-making and high-value added type of stuff. And in some ways, it's scary, I know, but that's where it's headed. So software that figures out that you're struggling, based on your behavior in front of the console and gives you contextual help, for example. It's not like you going to help and trying to figure out what to do because you don't know what questions to ask, perhaps. But it knows based on its context what you're struggling with. You'll start seeing that, and obviously it will lead to much faster and quicker ROI because when you look at software in any industry, it's predominantly, ROI is the key thing. This is very interesting. What happened in mobile industry was it was all about hardware. It was all about, the CMOS in your camera. It was about screen resolution. It was about CPU speed. And then something wonderful happened because, slowly the differentiation kind of flattened out and something wonderful happened. Apple basically said, it's not the phone, it's the ecosystem. It's not what's the processing power and raw hardware in your phone, but it's what you can do with it. And these apps that are available, on your phone really defines the race. Similar thing is starting to happen. Buy a press and get an ecosystem for free. So what is this ecosystem and what is it going to do for you? So it's essentially your press would be cloud connected, data driven, mobility enabled. What does that mean? It means, you can do things like, you can get overall much higher uptime. How? Today, when something happens and your press fails, what do? You call support, they send a guy who comes and tries to figure out what's wrong. Then he realizes he hasn't brought the parts or he didn't know exactly what to expect. And so, it leads to a longer downtime, etc. What's happening in computing industry already is they can get into your computer and figure out exactly what's wrong. So if something physically has to be changed, when they come in, they can do one and done. They can show up and they can fix it in no time and so on. So you'll start seeing more and more remote diagnostics built into these kinds of things where either automatically or through human intervention, when you have a problem, somebody can come in and actually look at what's going on your equipment. Predictive maintenance, this is almost sci-fi. I'll not talk too much about it right now. That's a whole topic by itself. But this is where, machines are getting smarter to the point that they can realize, they can see the early indicators of a failure coming. These early indicators are not something that humans can spot easily, but the machines can spot easily. And as a result, they are able to figure out countermeasures and avoid the failure in the first place. So rather than waiting for something to fail and then trying to recover from it, avoid the failure in the first place. And it's not only about hard failures. It could be about throughput, it could be about production parameters. So it doesn't have to crash or fail or, for this to apply. You can apply it to, many things. Inline quality, for example. Mobility will help you know what's going on where at any given time. So the printer will actually keep you informed, even if you're going out for lunch and so on and so forth. I'm going to have to speed up. I got 2 minutes, so I'm going to see, so obviously also it will start actually helping you from a business point of view to find out in your production where the bottlenecks are, what are the opportunities, by comparing a broader trends of data. So I'll give 2 examples and then I'll jump out of it and see what else I can cover. So for example, in your inkjets, you do head purges. And head purges you do because you're worried that in the middle of a run, it's going to be a nozzle out or some situation. These head purges cost you ink, significant ink. So that's a waste. Now, if the cloud notices for people who have similar types of products as you, similar type of substrate, similar ink, similar climatic conditions, on an average, they are doing a lot less head purges than you are. Then obviously something is wrong in your situation or you are overcautious or whatever. So it can actually help you reduce the wastage involved in that. It's kind of like what's happening in other industries. So there's an automatic comparison against a norm that is evolving constantly. Intelligence everywhere. I'll share this presentation with you. Many questions, interesting business questions, production questions that these softwares will help you answer, and that's the big payoff there. So I'm not going to go through with that. And so what am I likely to see? Some of the early signs that I'm likely to see at Drupa is obviously inkjets everywhere. And that's in packaging and labels, corrugated, and folding cartons. You'll start seeing they really tussling and giving tough competition to your traditional analog equipment. Interesting imaging of things applications. This is a very vibrant industry where the limits are purely your own. And, okay, that's 1 minute. So software everywhere, you'll start seeing a lot more print-on-demand type of automation in this Drupa, hybrid production examples of ecosystems applications. So what I talked about, the ecosystem, you'll actually start seeing some examples of that. For example, an app on your mobile that allows you to figure out what you want to know from your production, and it tells you. So if you are, for example, for a particular type of customer, for a particular type of quote value, if you want to personally approve it, it will come to you for that. And so that's, in a nutshell, what I have. Do I have time to take questions?
Yeah, we'll give you one question.
Sure.
One relevant question, please. Anybody with a relevant question? Mic runners ready? One relevant question. I know that we've given Sam very little time, and his subject is very, very vast and very confusing for most of us who are actually wondering what's going to happen in the future. So if you have any queries, write to office@bmpa.org. We'll forward it to Sam, and I'm sure he'll be available to answer your questions on what to expect in Drupa, where these technologies are going. If you're confused on any particular technology and need more details, I've heard Sam speak on a more relaxed manner, and I know that he can give you your answers. So do write to us. We'll stop here, no questions. I'm going to call.
And I'm around all day, so if you want to catch me.
That's brilliant. So Sam is here for lunch and for dinner, so please ask him if you're confused and didn't understand what technology he's talking about. So to do the honors and to thank Sam, I'm going to ask two people, one from Germany, Engelbert, from OSE, and one from Japan, Mr. Hashimoto-san. So please come up on stage and join Fred Poonawalla, the chairman of the summit, to please hand over a memento and thank Sam for coming here all the way from Bangalore. Big round of applause for Sam, please. Thank you, Sam.